filmmaking in its nature is a collaborative effort. It's pretty hard. I mean, it's pretty hard to make a film all by yourself. I guess you could do it, but pretty much most films, most of the time, take a team of people. If you ever see the credits at the end of a movie, it's like a lot of times hundreds of people that work on a thing.
Do it fast, do it yourself, do it far, do it together. Go far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how did you first get into filmmaking, or when were you like, this is fun slash maybe I could do this as a job? How did that all come together?
So I grew up in outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Um, and I had this epically safe neighborhood that had a lot of like woods and like cool scenery. It's funny, after my dad passed away, I was watching archival footage. My dad always had a high 8 video camera. And I remember seeing him filming me and me being like, what does that button do? What does that button do? So I think I owe it to my dad to like for my career in terms of like he loved to archive our lives. And eventually I was old enough where I just took the camera. And I remember like when I was like 7 years old, I was like doing stop motion animation of like chess pieces on a table. And I had a best friend, this kid, Jesse Maddox, and him and I were just sort of like you and I today, where we just kind of like geeked out and made art together all the time and would do all the like the magic tricks of cameras where we would like throw a ball up in the air and freeze and then cut and then like re-record and be like, oh, where's the ball? It's gone. Like little silly things like that. Um, and then so I was this kid, even in middle school, we would be making action movies. I just found the other filmmakers and we would be the writers, directors, producers, actors. We would like have fireworks that we would put inside grenade launchers that we made out of like cardboard and painted them. And so I remember like literally in middle school, I was showing in homeroom like kids action movies that we would make, and we would have to like unplug the white cable, the red and white audio cable, and use GoldenEye 64 to like add sound effects to the guns. And then that led to like actually taking film classes, winning awards in high school, skipping certain film levels. Um, and and yeah, I just loved it. I just loved it. It was like I was like born doing it. Like the joke is like people would go like play football after school and I would go make movies with my friends and act in them. And we would have like a loose plot, but for the most part we for a lot of them we kind of ad-libbed the dialogue. But we made some really cool things. And then eventually studied film in college. And then I came out to LA because I had the opportunity to work for my favorite actor on my favorite show, which was Entourage, Jeremy Piven, who had just won his second Emmy. And I was like, yes. And I did that for a year. And then I worked for director producer on House MD, the TV show, learned everything about what it takes to make a TV show. But in those 2 years in LA, I wasn't making content. And that was sad. It was like the first time in my life where I wasn't making films. So I quit the corporate television world, and I was just like this like broke, hungry filmmaker who's now in his mid 20s in LA with all these dreams. And at the time I was like making a new film every 2 weeks, pretty much. Just like hardcore shoot, edit. And that's when we made Oh, the Places You'll Go, when I was on literally my last unemployment check, and I was going to have to get a job that week. And then the universe was like handing me this golden ticket of like, you aren't going to get some assistant job or whatever. Like like, this is your chance. And it was literally out of like desperation and just hunger, um, that that we've that I was so hungry to make content, prove to the world I'm good enough, Hollywood. Like, I'm good at this, like, recognize me. And that's when the places happened, and then everything blew up, and then surprisingly, like, corporate ended up calling me, which was funny because Burning Man and corporate are kind of opposites. So that was interesting. But yeah, that's the backstory. Just happened to have a camera, used it all the time. We would literally fill like Ziploc bags with red food coloring and be like, and we just make action movies. And it's so fun. We choreograph stick fights, which is funny because then later you and I became fire spinners, spinning with sticks and stuff. So it all kind of made sense.
There was
Yeah.
another movie we shot where you were having a fire sword fight with Parker
Hmm.
at Burning Man. But yeah, a bit of a similar story for me too. My dad also had a camera. I think it was like a VHS camera, and was always like filming me and my sister. And at one point, I commandeered the camera and I started recreating movies that I'd seen,
Oh,
namely
cool.
Indiana Jones and James Bond. And any part that was like a female, I'd make my sister play the part. And there's a scene from the last Indiana Jones where he's like reaching for the Holy Grail, and Sean Connery tells him to like let it go. And he like lets go of Elsa, like the female character, and she like falls down into the chasm, and I like made my sister fall off a cliff, and it was pretty scary.
Like
But
like like a real cliff.
no, like a swing set at my house.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of
But it
course.
felt like a cliff to the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Indiana Jones really made me want to go on adventures, dig up
Mm.
uh, ancient treasure, and make movies. And I still want to do all of those things.
We're the same people we were when we were kids. Always, I suppose. I still want to make action movies, even though I don't really. But I definitely make movies that have a lot of magic in them, and that was my specialty. That was my specialty. It's always been.
Yeah, it still is, I would say.